Good afternoon, everyone. I am Rana Ravi from Committee on MSME and Startup. I would like to welcome our speaker CA Tushar Arya sir for MSME Pathshala Series 46 and our coordinator CA Drishti Kapali ma'am. I would like to request our coordinator to take a moment to formally introduce and welcome our speaker for the session. Ma'am, over to you.
Thank you so much, sir. First of all, I would like to thank the committee on this opportunity to act as a coordinator on this knowledgeable webinar on MSME Pathshala series, Success Mantra for a Startup. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Myself, CA Drishti Kapila, coordinator of today's session. I would like to welcome Dr. CA Tushar Arya ji for enlightening us on a very valuable session on the topic Success Mantra for a Startup. Before handing over the session to CA Tushar Arya ji, I would briefly like to introduce him to the members. Dr. CA Tushar Arya ji is a FCA, LLB, and PhD and has around 14 years of experience in business strategy, education, finance, and tax. He has established colleges and managed the institutions. He has worked on projects in 10 plus countries. At present, he is the Chief Executive Officer at Ishan Educational Institutions, Greater Noida, India, which is a group of educational institutions imparting various programs for undergraduate and postgraduate level in management, law, pharmacy, Ayurvedic medicine, commerce, and education. He has successfully launched in Rapid Business Pitch Competition 2015, Netherlands, among 20 plus European business. He secured third position in European Business Plan for the year 2050, Netherlands, among 20 plus European business schools. He also won Annual International Student Summit 2010 Best Manager Award, 12 teams from 4 countries. He has been the key speaker and judge on various topics in different countries such as Los Angeles, Manchester, Singapore, etc. He has also published research papers such as Evolving Tax Laws for Charitable Institutions and Role of Tax Policies in Promoting Education at Global Level. So I would like to thank Honorable CA Tushar Arya ji for joining us today as the speaker on the topic Success Mantra for a Startup. So thank you so much, sir. Now over to you.
Thank you so much, Trishti, and thank you so much, the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, for giving this platform where I can share my views, where I share my ideas on what are the key essential components that can really help build a startup and in the startup journey for an entrepreneur. I think, so just a second, I'll figure out the slides. Yeah. So startup is something which is not really doing a routine business. We are not over here. We are not doing a regular business where we are looking at the standard metrics. Over here, we are looking at a business idea which is providing a very unique solution to an existing problem, or we are creating altogether a new market. We are basically bridging a gap through our unique solution, which brings about a change, which brings about a disruption in the traditional industries. So what we are looking at over here is there's high level of uncertainty, there's high level of risk, but at the same time, we have a rapid growth potential. We have a potential of multiplying exponentially. The business is scalable, the business is repeatable, and that is what all a startup looks like. So while a routine traditional business may involve risk, the risks involved in a startup are far higher. While a routine business, we may be able to gauge some uncertainties. Those uncertainties are far higher in case of a startup. We are looking at something new. We are looking at something different. And that is how our overall business arena is evolving. So what are the key essential components when we are looking at a startup? If we are to define how can we gauge the success of a startup, it's not plain and simple as the financial metrics or the operational metrics. That if we focus on the customer base, I think Byju's is an excellent example. It was able to gain a valuation of more than $1 billion based on its customer base. It had more than 150 million registered users. Going by the financial metrics, may it be sales, revenue, cost. Zomato is a great example in this area. It had more than 7,000 crores of revenue in the financial year 2023. And this really helped the company go have a successful IPO. If we talk about the operational metrics, EBITDA, PBT, ROI, a great example would be Zerodha, the stock trading. It has a more than 65% EBITDA with a profit before taxes of rupees 2,900 crores in the financial year 2023. Success metrics. But besides that, we also have metrics such as building a brand. 1mg is a very, very good example of a startup in pharmaceutical industry that has been able to have a very high user base and has been able to build trust. With its partnership with Tata, now it's Tata 1mg, and you can have a reliable delivery of medicines, and people, it has gained a good amount of goodwill. Then the business success also depends on what stage of startup are you at. Is it a pre-seed or a basic initial stage startup? Is it an early stage startup wherein the team is formed and now they are evaluating the idea, the market fit? Or is it a growth stage startup wherein you have secured a Series A funding and now the startup is very well functioning and it is looking for expansion? Or maybe it is at the final stages wherein the founders are looking for an exit. So at what stage of the startup are you at, and what is the success that you have achieved till now will also define your success. And then if you're making a positive impact, you're building a great amount of goodwill in your business. The key ingredients, the key elements, which I feel are very, very important in achieving success for any business and specifically for startups are ideation. Ideation would mean that you have very carefully, very precisely identified the market gap, the solution, the problem, and the target market that you're aiming at. Then is the business model and strategy. What exactly are your revenue, is your revenue model? What is your cost structure? What is your unique value proposition? And what is your short-term and long-term goal? Then we come to execution and scalability. What are your different milestones? How well are you clear about your short-term growth plan, your long-term growth plan, your vertical integration possibilities, your horizontal integration possibilities? How well are you customer-centric? How well do you know the needs of your customer? Are you really ears to the feedback that they're pitching in? Are you really bridging the gap between the customer need and what your product is offering or your service is offering? Then is the market research. What are the competitors doing? Why is this product not already there in the market? Is there a gap or is it already there? Or probably your idea may sound fancy, but it does not really lead to a revenue model or a business model. So you really need to do that market research. And lastly, the team. What are the skills that you require? What are the expertise that you require? What vision and mission do you have? Under what leadership are you working? Because You may have a great idea, but if you don't have the required skill set to have a proper execution, you don't have the required set of knowledge or the team, that might not really succeed. So these are the 6 broad parameters that we'll be focusing on in today's session. Going on to the very first session, first point, ideation. So what exactly is ideation? Why is it important? So ideation is creating a very detailed roadmap of why do you want to do it? What do you want to do it? For whom are you planning to do it? And what all does it entail? It is basically a very clear crystal blueprint of how your business ideas align with the real world problems and the market needs. It is almost like the very basic, most important foundation of a successful startup, just like the foundation of a building. So you have identified the market gap and you're linking your idea to the target market so that there can be a bridge, and you are providing a service or a product that bridges this gap or provides a unique solution, or you have identified a new market altogether. So when we talk about a very detailed roadmap, what all does it entail? It entails every single detail. Maybe the product attributes, the market that you're targeting, the problem that you're addressing, the solution that you're using to address this problem, your short-term strategy, your long-term strategy, the resources that you will require, and the expertise that you will use to fix this gap or run this business. You can identify the market gaps through various tools, may it be SWOT analysis, may it be pestle analysis, trying to understand what are the pain points in this particular industry. So if we take an example of the restaurant business, if you're planning to open a restaurant, a very simple business, or you're planning a very regular simple business, you're planning to open a restaurant, you should have a very perfect clarity of what capacity are you starting at. Is there a short-term plan to increase the capacity? What cuisine do you plan to offer? What is going to be the pricing of those various items? A food dish can be offered for ₹50, can be offered for ₹500, and some places you may even get it for 2,000. So what market segment are you offering to? What your business, what market segment are you planning to cater to? Then for a restaurant business, you might be looking at the interiors, you might be looking at the chef. When I say chef, your mind should click the team, the skill, the expertise required. What is the competition? In which area are you planning to open this business? What is the competition? Are there any existing service providers in that area? Are they targeting the same market as you are? Then customer care, customer feedback. You should be very, very perceptive towards the customer feedback. I think the best marketing is the marketing word of mouth. These days, people look at reviews. These days, the word travels fast. So if there is a specific team that is looking into the feedback, that is looking into customer care, I think that can do wonders for your business. That can do far better than any marketing campaign or a branding or a promotion campaign. Then you should be looking at the legal aspects of it. Legal aspects as in what are the types of licenses that you would require? What is the type of financing that you would require? Is there any legal impediment in your business? Is there a law which may not allow you to run this business or may require a specific set of copyright or a specific set of license? And then the overall manpower. And lastly, your short-term and long-term vision. For this, there's a very famous concept of design thinking. First, you empathize. You try to understand the needs of your customer. You try to be in the shoes of your customer and try to do a very detailed research of what your customer really wants. Try to talk to some potential customers. Try to understand their pain point. Try to see what do they really want. Try to define it. Define it exactly where is the gap. What are the current products and services and what are you offering? Does that really fix the pain points of the customers in that industry? Try to ideate, try to brainstorm, try to mind map, try to see what all are the ways of fixing that problem. There might not be just one way of going from point A to point B. There might not be just one way of fixing a problem. You have a problem in hand, you have spoken to the customers you're targeting, you have a solution in hand. But is that the only solution? Is that the only way of fixing that problem in hand? Try to have a very open mind, try to have the stakeholders involved, that is this the only way or are there any other ways involved? Try to see what is the trend. What are the different products or services in that particular area who are offering services but yet not able to achieve that level of satisfaction for the customer? And will your solution be able to fix that situation? And then try to reverse it. For example, Uber had a ride sharing model. Uber had a ride sharing model where to bring down the cost, they allow sharing of ride. And now they're applying this model to logistics. They're applying this model to delivery. So there are different solutions, and those solutions can be applied in different types of industries or different types of problem areas. So when we do, after this, we can have a prototype, try to make a MVP, a minimal viable product. Try to see that the product that you have made with a very small amount of investment, are the customers happy with it? Do you receive any feedback? Can you improvise further? What all are the features? What all are the characteristics continue with, and the ones that you would want to change? So this is building a prototype and then testing it with your target market, and then finally putting this idea into execution. So we have tried to empathize, we have tried to define what the customer really wants, we have tried to ideate different solutions to the problem, we have tried to build a prototype, test those prototypes, and then finally go into the implementation phase. Going ahead, we should ask ourselves that the problem that we have defined, the solution that we have defined, looks at the target audience, and then what exactly is our unique value proposition? How are we different from the current market scenario, the current players in the market, the current competitors that we might have if we go forward with this business plan? So for every for all the 6 elements that we discussed, I will be going with a few questions that you should be asking yourself when you are putting your business idea into a startup. You're making a startup, you're putting that idea into execution. So for this ideation phase, I think the most relevant question that comes across is, what problem does your product really solve? Is it solving a problem? What problem is it that you're really focused at solving? We cannot be solving 10 problems. We are solving a key problem. There might be some ancillary problems, but the key problem, what exactly is it? Taking the example of Uber, earlier, the transportation industry, local transportation industry, was not that organized. There were small hubs in different parts of the city, in different parts of the locality, where you would go. You will have to physically go over there, ask the taxi stand people to book a taxi in advance. Then they would probably send you the taxi at that point of time. You would have to pay for both the sides. You will have to pay for going there and coming back, because the taxi guy would say that I have to come back to my station, so I will charge you both the ways, even if you don't use my services. And then it was very expensive. How did Uber solve this problem? It solves by giving you a reliable mode of transport, cost effective, right where you are, and in real time. Then there are add-on benefits. It gives you safety feature, it gives you scheduling feature and everything. But the key problem that you're solving is reliable economical mode of transport through an affordable app-based booking system. If you see how Apple marketed their iPod, they never said that you have 12 GBs of space or 15 GBs of space in this small iPod. They said that 2,500 songs right in your pocket. So what they're marketing is, they're marketing the benefit that you're drawing out of the product. There's no point marketing the features of it. They're saying that the problem is that you want to listen to your music and you're not able to do it. Here are 2,500 songs right in your pocket. So what problem are you solving? You're solving the problem of easy, at a click of a button, you're getting what you wanted. Going on to the second question, what makes your product unique or innovative compared to your competitors? So before Byju's, we had Khan Academy and we had a lot of education apps. But what Byju's did was it gamified the whole education experience. There were animated videos, there were competitions. The education delivery mechanism was customized based upon the audience. It offered multilingual videos, it offered education very customized to the Indian audience. And then it gamified the whole experience. So this is the innovation that they brought in. This is the uniqueness that they brought in the learning app. So you need to ask this question to yourself, what exactly is it that makes your product unique or innovative in comparison to your competitors? Going further, the second aspect, the second area that we'll be focusing upon is business model and strategy. What exactly is your business model? How are you building a strategy around it? What is your short-term strategy? And what is your long-term strategy? What is your unique value proposition? What is your revenue model? How are you going to be profitable? What all are the costs that you may incur while running this business? And what are the customer segments that you are planning to cater to? You cannot be catering to the complete market all at once. It is not possible to function without a profitable revenue model. Even for the costs, we will do a sensitivity analysis wherein we are very clearly defining these are the expected costs, and these costs may go up by 10% or may go down by 10%. Talking about unique value proposition, what exactly is unique value proposition? A unique UVP statement is a very clear, defined statement which says how your product or service solves a particular problem or delivers a specific benefit, and how are you differentiating yourself from your competitors. It is able to convince the potential customers that why they should choose your product over your competitors. So what are the key elements of a UVP? First of all, you have to have a very target audience, very targeted base of audience who is benefiting from your product. Secondly, what problems or pain points are you addressing? And thirdly, how are you differentiating from the alternatives that are there in the market? So when Paytm came into the picture, its UVP was very clear, plain and simple, simplifying payments for everyone, everywhere. So it's clearly telling you that you have to transfer money. We are simplifying that process, and we are there to make this payment in every routine transaction area where you may have to send some money, may it be booking tickets, may it be a small payment transfer, may it be gas station, may it be education, may it be anywhere. So why is this UVP important? This UVP is really significant because first of all, you're attracting your customer attention with a very crisp, precise, to the point statement. You're telling them why are you different from your competitors, why you should be chosen instead of them. You have a very clear focus. It defines your marketing, it defines your product development, it defines your sales strategies, it defines why you should go and how it helps in the overall decision making. As a business, you have to make a lot of decisions, so you know that this is what we are focusing at and this is how we should function. And then, of course, if you're seeking money from investors, they need to know what's it that makes you different instead of anybody else out there. So Swiggy's UVP was no matter what you're craving, we deliver it hot and fresh at your doorstep. So in this one statement, they've said it all. whatever you're craving. So if you're hungry, you really need something to eat, we are there for you. Hot and fresh, the two very basic concerns that someone may have. Going ahead, how to craft an UVP? So you have your customer problem. I'll take the example of, let's say, Lenskart. I'll take the example of Lenskart. They identified a problem that people need glasses, but they're not able to get them at a very cost effective price. They're not able to get a very good variety near their household. So they have to travel. The prices are high. The quality may not be as good. So they fix all these three problems. They're fixing these problems by providing you economical, affordable eyewear right at your doorstep, and they're offering a huge variety. So they've highlighted the solution that you can order it from your home, you can order it from your app. Even for an eye checkup, you don't need to go anywhere. We'll get this eye checkup right at your doorstep. And this is how we will be able to provide solution to the existing market gap. And what is their UVP? Their UVP is the wide range. Their UVP is right at your doorstep. They're allowing doorstep trials. They're using 3D technology to make you feel how does this lens look like on your face. So the key formula is we help this type of person solve this problem by this. And this is how we are differentiating ourselves. Often what happens is when we are trying to understand what our customer really needs, we confuse it with what we have to offer and what might be the real pain point. So in case I've taken this example of a car, while this example can be replicated in various other products. The key function of a car is to transport. The key function of a car is to transport. So no matter what, no matter how luxurious the car is, no matter how many features the car has, no matter whether it's electric or whether it's hybrid or whether it's using the traditional fuel, whether it has a very, very high mileage, if it fails to run, if it fails to move, if it fails to transport you from one place to another, your core product has failed. If we talk about a mobile phone, it does not matter how many features it has. If it is not able to perform the very basic feature of a call, the mobile phone is of no use. So we need to be very sure of the core product that we are offering. And then comes the actual product. Now the actual product in case of a car may be the design, the comfort, mileage, engine capacity, brands, automatic door locking feature, or all the features that we can think of in a car would allow to supplement its sales, would allow for to have a good sales, but the core product remains transportation. The actual product is the engine, the mileage, the features, airbags, all of these things. And then comes the augmented product, which are good to have, but may not be that relevant and may not be a hindrance to the sales. What are those kind of features? Additional services, after sales services. After sales services might be an actual product, but augmented would be probably you're providing warranty services up to 2 lakh kilometers, or you're providing some on-site road assistance. So these are those features, or probably good financing options, good EMI options. So these are those features which are good to have, but your business may function even without having them. So these are over and above. So till now, what we have discussed is the UVP. We have discussed UVP, wherein we have spoken about trying to understand the target audience, very clearly defining what is the problem, how is our solution fixing that problem, And how are we differentiating ourselves from our competitors? And then we have come to the understanding of what exactly are our product attributes, the core product, actual product, and the augmented product. So there are certain pitfalls that we often come across when we are drafting a UVP. One, the most common being we are too vague, we are too wide. So one of my students, I had a business for scented candles. And I asked him, whom are you making these scented candles for? And the answer was for anyone and everyone who wants to buy it. But that's not how you function. That is something that will be a very costly affair and your efforts will go into waste. Why? Because your focus is not clear, your target market is not clear. If taking another example, there are so many brands offering Ayurvedic products. But Kama Ayurveda has very clearly defined that we are targeting the niche segment of the customers. Our products are going to be costly. We are going to focus on making a brand. We are going to offer very high quality. And we are not looking at mass sales. We are looking at a very niche segment of customers who are ready to pay a much higher price for that level of quality. On the other hand, we have Patanjali that is looking that is saying that we offer economical products, affordable products. We are looking at a mass market. So similarly, your UVP should not be vague. We sell clothes. No, that's not how it works. You will have to be very crisp and precise. We are selling affordable, eco-friendly, fashionable clothes for these kind of millennials. So that is how you start a business. That is how you lay the first step. After a certain point, you may grow very big. You may grow into a multi-business giant, and you may be catering to a very, very wide variety of customers with a wide product range. But in the starting, your efforts should be very streamlined and very focused. You should be very clear of whom are you targeting and why are you looking at that particular segment. Secondly, you should not be making very over-promising claims. Something very unrealistic, you pitch it, you're not able to fulfill it, you're falling short of your claims, that leads to a very bad image. Even if the customer was not expecting you to fulfill it, but because you claimed it and fell short, now that damages trust. I don't know if you all remember this or not, but we had a show for the Cybertruck launch by Elon Musk. He said that this glass can even bear a hammer if I hit it by a hammer. And sadly, when he did it, the glass broke and the stock prices fell. Why is that so? Because the claims were made were too over-promising. Thirdly, you should never ever miss the customer's perspective. What exactly does the customer want? Does he really want a particular feature? Does he really want a particular attribute to the product? Are you really, or is it just that you want it and that's why you're selling it? Because this is not how the market functions these days. These days, the customer has a wide variety of options. So unless you really focus on the customer's needs, I don't think it's going to really have that much of success. I'll take the example of a mobile. Mobile phones these days, you have a very wide variety of mobile phones. There is a lot of companies. The mobile phone industry has a lot of competition. They're not focusing too much on features now. They're focusing on the customer needs. Their market. If you see if you see the advertisements by Apple, they don't pitch their phones as 32 MB camera or 64 GB hard disk or whatever. They click a very beautiful photograph, and then there's a huge billboard, and there's a small text on the bottom of the picture, shot on iPhone. So they're selling you that experience. They're selling you that if you want to click such a beautiful picture, this is our phone that can do it. Focus on customer needs rather than features. And then finally, never ever neglect on differentiation. If you're not different, you may not be able to survive in the market for long. Unless and until you know what is your UVP, unless and until you know that what makes you apart from the existing customers, what makes you different from all others. I don't think a business can survive for very long. If others are doing the same and you are also doing the same, it's going to be survival of the fittest. Eventually, a big fish will eat the small fish. So we are talking about not being too vague. We are talking about not over-promising. We are talking about not ignoring customer perspective. And finally, making sure that we are different from other competitors in the same space. So some of the strong UVPs I would like to discuss are Flipkart. Flipkart's UVP was India's most trusted online shopping site for everything you need. I think each and every word in this UVP, in this marketing statement, is very carefully chosen. The very first word, India, it brings a sense of patriotism. It was competing with Amazon in 2016, 2017, and Amazon was failing miserably. Flipkart had a major market share, and somewhere that sentiment was working. Amazon published a variety of ads, and somehow they made some mistakes in those advertisements related to the Indian sentiment. And that is what Flipkart tried to encash, that this is India's app. Secondly, they know that online shopping at that time was not a very common thing to happen. So they needed customers to trust them with the online payment gateway. They needed that you've paid online and the product will come. So this requires amount of trust. This is not like the today's where you know that something, if you're ordering online, it will come home. So they've added these words, most trusted online shopping site. And then finally, everything you need. They're saying that we offer everything. We offer clothes for kids. We offer clothes for adults. We offer different products. So we are a aggregator and we offer everything. We offer electronics. We offer clothing. We offer retail. We offer stationery. We offer a lot of things. We offer everything you need. Coming to Zomato. Zomato had discover great places to eat around. So it clearly says that this is an eating app. We have a directory and you can discover whatever great places you want to eat at. Urban Company made a very important bridge in the service providers and the service recipients. In the urban cities, tier 1 cities, there was a major gap that you're not able to find the services of routine services of maybe the plumber, electrician, painter, all these routine services. So now what they're saying is high quality home services delivered at your convenience. You click on the click of a button, you can schedule it whenever you want it, wherever you want it. And we assure that it will be high quality. So these are the three key pain points. Otherwise, you will keep calling electrician. He may come on a weekend, he may come on a weekday, and you're not able to fix it. Similarly, for Razorpay, simplifying payments for Indian businesses. I think the major market share why Razorpay got was because it was very customizable to the Indian business needs, Indian business requirements. They highlighted their professionalism. They highlighted their how they are directly catering to the Indian businesses. So these are some of the strong UVPs, but so this is how you have to think that what exactly defines your business, what exactly defines your product or services that you are planning to offer. Going ahead, these are the three businesses. Again, we have come to the example of Lenskart, Swiggy, and Ola. I would want you to give 2 minutes to yourself and really think what exactly is the problem, the solution, and what exactly is it that differentiates them. What exactly is it that Ola, Swiggy, and Lenskart bring into picture to bridge a gap to fulfill their customer needs? So in case of Ola, they identified that the transportation is unreliable, inefficient. The solution they gave is an app-based cab booking service with transparent pricing. And their UVP is real-time ride tracking, cashless payments, and affordability. You don't have to pay two sides. It is available wherever you want, and it allows online payments. Similarly, for Lenskart, we just discussed, the problem was limited access to affordable eyewear in semi-urban areas. Solution, they're providing online eyewear, they're providing home trials, they're using 3D technology. And what is their UVP? They're combining convenience with a very wide range of products at an affordable price. Swiggy, you had a very long waiting time. The food delivery spaces were mostly unorganized. Most of them did not have their own fleet of delivery. So you'll have to physically go over there. What did they provide? They provided a seamless food delivery app. You have reviews, you have customer service, and they connected all the restaurants with their customers. So they are providing super fast delivery. They have a great mobile app. You have all the options of customizing your food. You have the option of ordering from multiple places. And now it even offers ultimate fast delivery through their bold service of 10 minutes. So there's a problem, there's a solution, and there's the differentiator. Going ahead. So a well-crafted UVP should resonate with your target audience, and it should be something that sets your brand apart. It should set you apart from the league. You should know that this is how we will make a difference in the existing market. Either the audience is new or there's a new unique solution to the existing problem. Coming to the next question, how large is the potential market for your product? We all know Skype. We all have this Skype app already installed in our computers. We have had this Skype mobile app. We have had the Skype Windows application pre-installed from more than 10 years. And we sometimes casually used it to video call. Free of cost, of course, using the internet, but we barely used it. But Microsoft already had this feature wherein you could video call a group, you could video call a single person, you could share screen. It had all those features. But when COVID struck, nobody used Skype for business communication. All the market share went to Zoom. Is it because Skype could not enact at the right time, could not take action at the right time, pitching itself as a business video calling app? Zoom shares skyrocketed because of the high level of usage, because of the high level of premium users it gained, but Skype was nowhere in the picture. Then Microsoft had to redesign it, and they launched Microsoft Teams for business and personal use, for education use. And that is how they try to regain their market share. So it is very important to understand the various uses and how big can your potential target market be. Now, even if your target potential market is very large, you can always break it down. You can always break it down to stage 1, stage 2, stage 3. There may be a short-term plan, there may be a mid-term plan, and there may be a long-term plan. But your vision should be very clear that this is what we are trying to achieve through our potential target market. I'd like to discuss the example of Zomato. Zomato was initially a restaurant ratings app. They only rated restaurants. You could see which restaurants are having positive reviews, which restaurants are having negative reviews. You could see photographs. You could read how good the food is. You could see their menu. They eventually transformed themselves into a food delivery application. But besides food delivery, they are also processing all the payments that you are making to these restaurants. They receive the payment and then they transfer it to the restaurant. So it's a very big financial aggregator. Then eventually it got into product delivery through acquisition of Blinkit. So now their huge fleet of delivery partners are not only delivering food, they are also being used to deliver products, grocery products. Eventually, it is now diversifying, expanding its wings to deliver more types of products. Now on Blinkit, you can even find stationery items, office supplies, electronic items. So now they know that this is our potential customer and they are horizontally integrating. They are providing more and more services to their existing user base. Talking about vertical integration, they are also doing that through Hyperpure. They are providing raw material to all their restaurant partners. So once they have they have acquired a particular set of customers, they know what is the need, and now they're catering to more and more needs of their customers, and that is their expansion plan. It is very important that even though you are at stage one, you're just starting your startup, you're just starting your own business, you should know where does it go after 5 years, where will it go after 3 years, what is your long-term vision. If we talk about Google first was initially a search engine. Then it made a browser which was opening that search engine. Then they made a mobile operating system that was using that browser. Then they started introducing more and more applications for the mobile, may it be Google Drive, may it be Google Photos, may it be Google Mail, may it be all Google Calendar, all the applications were of Google. So they were providing more and more services to the same customer that they have already acquired. Second most important aspect is how will you generate revenue? Who will pay for your product? Your product might be very, very good, but when you ask a price for it, the customer will be looking at options. The customer will be checking what all can I get for this much value of money. There's always a marginal utility when money is involved. Do you recognize this icon? This icon is of YouTube. Yes, this is a YouTube icon. The YouTube was not originally a Google product. Google acquired it. Google acquired it for $1.65 billion somewhere around 2006. Why? Because the people who made YouTube were not able to monetize it. People were continuously uploading videos on YouTube. People were streaming those videos, and uploading videos requires a huge amount of money for servers. And the original founders were not able to make sure how to make money out of it. Google acquired it for $1.65 billion, and now their annual revenue exceeds $450 billion. YouTube's revenue alone. So you should know the potential, and you should know how are you planning to generate revenue. Will it be a freebie? Will it be a freemium product? Will it be a premium only product, paid only product? Will you be providing samples? How are you really planning to acquire customers who will pay for this product or service? So this also becomes a very, very important component in the overall picture, because without profits, we don't see an investment fructifying. So I have a few more examples. I think Spotify, I don't know how many of you know the history behind Spotify, but the founders of Spotify were of the vision that we don't want music to be paid. We want people to have free access to music. Many players came in and went by with a lot of legal suits against them because they were infringing the copyrights of various music companies, various label companies who were saying that we pay the artist to earn money on premium paid, on subscriptions paid by the music listeners. Napster provided free music and went by. Then there was Stone, and there were a lot of online companies that were trying to provide free music, but all failed because of the legal challenges. Then came Spotify, and they became a freemium product. You can listen to the music for free. We will earn that money that we need to pay in royalties to the music companies through advertisements, or you can go to our premium model and pay for it and listen to music without advertisements. So this was the major point of success for the founders of Spotify, who had successfully made an app, who had made an online jukebox, as they called it. So how are you potentially monetizing your product? So same was the case in Airbnb. People had a lot of properties, unused properties lying vacant, and then they had an idea that why not use the unused residential spaces as hotels. Instead of really building a big hotel, why not have these small clusters or small spaces of houses which are lying vacant? The owners can have their own share of revenue, they can have their good amount of maintenance, and then visitors will have a very economical, affordable, reliable place for their vacation or for their stay in a different city. So just by charging a small commission, they are benefiting both hosts and guests. Going ahead. Third point, customer-centric approach. One of the very key essential elements of a successful startup is how well are you aligned with the needs of the customer? How well do you understand what your target audience really needs? You may have an idea, but is it really acceptable by the target market, or is it just you who feels that that idea will fix the problem? Who is your target audience? Are they happy with the solution? What steps are you taking for a very continued customer engagement, or is it going to be a one-time spin-off? Because for a business to prosper, for a business to have success in the long run, you need to have repeat customers. You need to have an engagement with the customer wherein the customer is using your services again and again. You're having a positive feedback. You're building based on the requirement of the customers. So, who is your target market and how well do you understand their needs? Paytm had a very clear vision. Our initial target is that unbanked population who want to make small payments, and we'll simplify the process of making a payment so easy. We'll simplify it to such an extent that every single person who is not even educated is able to do it. So they made the app so simple that you just scan a QR code. You don't need to enter any bank details. You don't need to enter any account number, IFSC code, or authorizations. It simply goes by a small ID to another ID. And that is how they fixed this gap of small payments. And they did not charge a fee for this UPI. They're not charging any service fees, any transaction charges, even for the smallest of payments. What are they banking upon? They're banking upon the swap that they have. So, who is your target market and how well do you understand their needs? You might have seen a very big difference in the type of advertisements that are there in an airport magazine in comparison to the hoardings that are there on a metro station. Because they know our target audience would want what type of product. The type of audience you will get reading an airport magazine is very different from the ones who are traveling on a daily basis through metro. There might be some overlap, but you know the focus and the target. So focusing on your target market and their needs. Similarly, what feedback are you receiving from your potential users and potential customers? Airbnb has a very detailed system, a mechanism wherein they take feedback from the host as well as from the guests, because they know that if somebody is allowing an unknown person to their house for a stay without any supervision, this can go very wrong, even for the guest and for the host. So the whole concept of Airbnb relies a lot on the feedback mechanism. What type of place is being offered, what is the host expecting, and what is the how good is the customer behaving who's renting the place. Similarly, for your product, it is very essential to know what all are the features or attributes of your product or service that the customer really likes, and what is that something which you might have to tone down a little bit. What are those features which you want to sharpen, and what are those features which you really need to rethink about? If we talk about restaurants, I think no matter how much a restaurant spends in advertisements and branding and promotions, those advertisements, brands, promotions will allow a initial customer base, but probably a referral, a word of mouth. If you've heard from your friend that this restaurant is really good or this particular dish from this restaurant is really good, I think that will convert into sales much, much faster, much easier, and in a much economical manner. So the customer feedback allows you to have repeat sales. It can allow you to have a good customer base at a much affordable price in comparison to what a very heavy marketing campaign or a very heavy promotion campaign will do. Talking about these days, OTT platforms have a lot to offer. These days, we have movies coming on OTT platforms. We have various shows coming on OTT platform. How do we really know which one is good? Do we really want to waste time just by watching any random thing? People quickly go on IMDb. People quickly go on IMDb and try to see whether this what's the rating of this particular show. There are various websites besides IMDb, also maybe Rotten Tomatoes or anything. So again, customer feedback. How well is the audience perceiving whatever you have to deliver? So if the reviews are good, you quickly go and watch that movie, or you quickly go and watch that TV show. And if the reviews are bad, you don't even spend 5 minutes to reevaluate. You just skip it. So this is how customer perception, customer feedback can bring about a very big change in your revenue. It can bring about a very big change in your customer base, in your sales, and in your overall growth journey of your business. We've already discussed these two examples, but from the customer point of view, I'll again. And that is how they incorporated various features in their app on a continuous basis. Real-time tracking, and then initially it did not have Ola Auto or Ola Sharing or Ola Mini, but based upon the requirements of the Indian market, based on the requirements of the Indian customers, they felt the need that Ola has to provide various other options that are even more economical, even more affordable. And that gave birth to Ola Auto, that gave birth to Ola Bike. Ola might not have this feature, or Uber might not have this facility anywhere in the world. But in India, you have Ola Auto, you have Ola Bike. Why? Because people want to go from one place to another at a much economical rate. And at the same time, the service provider, the delivery fleet is available at that price point. You're able to travel 10 kilometers for less than 100 rupees because there is someone who's ready to take you from place A to place B on his or her bike at such a low price point. So this is basically taking feedback from the customer and improvising, adding more and more features to your product based upon the customer needs, based on the customer requirements. Similarly, talking about Ola, similarly, Uber introduced a lot of features after a few tragic incidents happened in their ride sharing app facility. So they introduced a lot of safety features that if you feel unsafe, you can press this button. If you feel something dodgy is happening, you can give feedback over here. So this is how they are further improvising and enhancing the customer experience, gaining trust of the customer that if something wrong happens, we are there for you. We will stand up for it and we will make sure that a similar situation does not arise again. Talking about Flipkart, the major pain point initially Flipkart had was that the Indian customers were not comfortable making online payments. They were not used to the concept of making an online payment and then waiting for 4 days or 8 days to receive their product. And then there was a fear that if that product is not good, how will we receive that money back? And this was prohibiting them to have a more and more sales online. This was the biggest inhibitor for online shopping. And then they introduced the concept of cash on delivery. You have ordered something, no problem, pay it when it arrives. As per the statistics shared by Flipkart and Amazon, more than 80% orders do not get returned as per Flipkart and Myntra. That's quite successful. But COD really helped build that trust factor in the brand Flipkart, in changing the perception, in changing the behavior of the people towards online shopping. So innovative solutions are required for new types of businesses, for new types of problems, for evolving market situation. Going ahead. Leadership and team skills. Whenever we are trying to build a business, every business requires a wide variety of skill set. Every business requires a wide variety of skills and experience. Even for running a small restaurant or a small education center or a small supply chain, you will be surprised to note the type of services, the type of people you may need to hire to run that business. Now, a very important decision that needs to be made over here is, will you be hiring all these type of people, or will you be availing services of a third party service provider and focusing on your core competency? This decision may be based upon your finances, may be based upon your initial focus, may be based upon at what stage of business are you at, and what is the level of what is the amount of money you are ready to put in. So for building the right type of team, you really need to see the skill set of the team members, the mindset of the team members, and ensure that their vision is very aligned. If someone is looking to exit at year 2 and someone is looking to exit at year 5, they might be going at a different pace. If there's a conflict in the founders, there is barely any business that can survive. So you need to make sure that the people with whom you are running this business are very well aligned in terms of their vision, in terms of their roles, in terms of their responsibilities, and how are you planning to achieve your short-term and your long-term goal. even if there's a different outcome, you should know what your expectations are and how will you be dealing with challenges. There needs to be a very collaborative environment. There needs to be a very collaborative culture to ensure creativity and accountability, to ensure that innovative ideas are put in. We can have a good brainstorming. We can have a good problem solving if there's a crisis situation, which happens every now and then in a startup. You should be absolutely sure of what exactly are you getting into. Taking a very basic example, even if we are running an application such as Swiggy, what all expertise or what all type of components do you think you would require as a company to run a delivery app? Give 1 minute, try to think what all would you require to run an application such as Swiggy. Who all would you require in your team? And when I say team, I do not mean just the founders. I mean everyone who's working in that organization. I'll give you 30 seconds. Try to understand, try to think what all will you require to run a company such as Swiggy.
Sir, you are not audible. Can you hear us?
Yes.
Sir, can you hear us?
Yeah. Am I audible now?
Yes, sir, yes.
Yeah. So taking this Swiggy example, I think first of all, we will
Yes,
need
yes,
a
sir.
technology team
Actually, your
wherein
voice
we
is
are
breaking.
configuring the user interface. We are dealing with the backend. Then we would require a very strong customer support team with hundreds and thousands and lakhs of orders being pouring in every single day. We would require a very strong customer care team that is able to address to their problems. May it be a payment failure, may it be bad quality food, may it be a rider not reaching on time, may it be anything. We would require licenses. We would require licenses to accept payments. We would require licenses to process. We would require licenses to run a business. We may require food processing license. We may require this. So there can be a variety of licenses. We would require a branding team that is looking into branding, promotion, sales. We are looking at team. Then we would of course require the very core essence delivery partners. But you might have seen all the delivery partners are very well oriented. So we would require a team that is looking onto onboarding this team as well as training all these delivery partners. Then we would require a very strong customer base. Unless there are orders being placed, there's no point of having delivery partners. Then we have an ancillary team that is looking into finances, that is looking into HR, that is looking into tax, that is looking and for all these team members we would require a very good office space. Even though we have more than 100,000 partners in the delivery fleet, we would require a very strong office space, a strong back-end support team, a small where all this is happening. And then we would require payment gateway services. We would require a very, very strong cyber security team that is making sure that none of the payments are fraudulent transactions. We would require a financial fraud detection team to make sure that the more than 1 million transactions that are happening are very well executed on time. The status is updated to the customer, because we know that the moment the money is deducted from the customer's account and it does not reflect, the customer panics. So there are a lot of, and it's highly possible that there are more players that are required, and we are not able to list them right now. But what my point over here is that every small or big business requires a very, very comprehensive skill set, a very wide array of team, and we must be very clear that whatever business we are planning to get into, we know what is required. Are we able to have that level of skills and expertise in our team? Going next. Execution and scalability. I think these days it's very easy to have an idea. It's very easy to copy an idea. It's very easy to replicate a model that is there in some other country and apply it in our country. The key success factor is how well are you able to execute that idea. The key is in the execution. You might have an excellent idea. You might be able to justify that that idea has functioned very well in a different market, and you want to replicate the same idea in the Indian market. But unless and until you are able to execute it properly, you are able to have very clear, actionable points and achieve those milestones, the business may not succeed. So what am I talking about over here is having very clear milestones, goals that are defined into actionable steps. This is our goal 1, this is our goal 2, this is our goal 3. And this is how we are planning to achieve these goals into these action points. This is action 1. These are a set of action. These are the actions we are planning in stage 2. These are the steps we are planning to take in stage 3. Then how are we going to scale our operations? How are we going to multiply? How are we going to expand our business in the short to medium to long term? And in today's time, how are we using technology? How are we using various services in scaling our operations, in our operational efficiency? And lastly, linking it with the previous point of team and leadership, how well are the goals aligned? How well have we communicated our vision and mission? How well is our team oriented towards achieving those goals in executing and achieving those milestones? So when I say execution and scalability, I mean clear milestones. I mean scalable operations. I mean use of technology in operational efficiency. And I mean aligning the complete team to work towards that particular goal, towards those milestones in a highly focused, aligned, synchronized manner. We were talking about scalability. If we talk about BigBasket, initially it was launched just in 2 cities. They eventually expanded their operations. They knew that now we are focusing on tier 1 cities, expanding their operation to 10 cities, to 22 cities. Now they are functioning in more than 100 cities. They have expanded their operations from tier 1 to tier 2 cities as well. So they have a very clear set of goals that this is our expansion plan. This is how we will increase our business. This is how we will increase our customer base. So initially they were only into groceries. Then they got into different kinds of FMCG products. So there are two things that are happening simultaneously. They're expanding their customer base, and at the same time, they're increasing the value of the basket of each of their customers. Increasing in the basket value means the amount of money that they are able to have from each customer, the amount of revenue that they're reaping from each customer. Why? Because they're now selling a wider variety of products that a potential customer will buy. So their product offering is increasing, and at the same time, their customer base is increasing. They're multiplying in two different directions. Further, what they are doing, they are optimizing their logistics, they are optimizing their operations. So this is their bigger plan. In terms of Tata Motors, they have a huge diversified fleet. They are into passenger cars through Tata Tiago, Tata Nexon. They are into commercial vehicles, may it be trucks, may it be buses, may it be other heavy duty vehicles. And now they are also into electric vehicles. They are into EVs, Tata Nexon EV, Tata Tiger EV. So they are expanding horizontally, catering to a very, very wide market, a very large audience. If we talk about vertical integration of, I'll take the example of Reliance Industries. What are they doing in their upstream operations? They were initially into oil exploration and production of crude oil and natural gas. So they were into exploration and production of their crude oil and natural gas. Then they got into midstream operations, refining that crude oil into products such as petrol, diesel, petrochemicals. Then they got one layer down to downstream operations. They directly started distributing that refined petrol through their petrol pumps. And they started into customer facing businesses such as Reliance Polymers, such as various chemicals. They started into manufacturing of textiles. So this is how the business is expanding vertically by getting one layer to another layer to another layer. Talking about Jio, their initial business was to set up high-speed internet even to the most rural parts of India and providing digital services. So initially what they did was they tried to expand their customer base to the biggest number possible by getting everyone on board through free internet, through freebies, through whatever they wanted. Once they had a customer base that was paying for their internet services, for their telecom services, they started selling more and more to the same customer. They introduced JioMart. They introduced Ajio competing with Myntra. They introduced JioMeet for virtual conference facilities. They introduced JioFiber, providing internet services at homes. Then they also introduced JioNews, JioCinema, competing with other OTT platforms. So what they did was they acquired a huge amount of customer base, and then they provided add-on services to the same customer. So now the customer, they already have the customer using other services. Now they're providing more services to have more revenue from the same customer. So this is something that they did in a longer span of time. They did it in a mid-term, long-term vision. So your business should have a very clearly defined policy, a very clearly defined vision that once we have this much of customer base, we are going to expand to this service. We are going to provide these on additional services. We are going to acquire new customers through this action plan. So unless our goal is clear, unless our vision is clear of short-term and long-term expansion, our 3-year, 5-year plan, we might start faltering. And this is what the venture capitalists want to see. How clear are you in your goals? And with every plan, of course, there is a sensitivity. Things might not go well. Things might go absolutely amazing. So we have to do our challenges. We need to know what are our risks. Taking the example of Oyo to answer, what are the biggest challenges or risks that you anticipate in launching your product? So a very, very unstructured industry such as hotels, where various hotels are providing different level of quality, they're providing different, they're catering to different segments of the market. Oyo has done an exceptionally amazing job by standardizing, by attributing a goodwill, by placing a customer support team, by providing standardized services to various hotels, by bringing them onto one platform. While the individual hotels cannot have an online booking service, cannot acquire customers directly, they have become a platform that bridges the service providers and the service recipients. And they have made a platform such that even if there's an issue, they are able to fix those issues, fix those gaps, and able to provide customer the satisfaction that he or she wants. The more we research, the more data points we have, and the more we are able to have an informed decision making. There's a concept of hippo which should not at all be happening in your business, and that is that the top management is making decisions based on their whims and fancies. All the decisions really need to get down to the point of what does the market research say, what does your customer want, what does the statistics say. And that is how, if your decision is based upon your market perception, you may not be right. But if it is based on your market research, your probability of gaining success far increases. So when we are talking about product segmentation, I think it's important that first we have a market, then we have identified target market and customer needs. We have identified our competition and where is the gap that we are trying to fix, and then very carefully understanding the consumer behavior of that target market. For market research, what I'm suggesting over here is we first do a market segmentation. After doing a very detailed market segmentation, we see our target market and understand and perceive the customer needs. We go and understand who are the various players that are already functioning in that market to cater to that target segment, and where does the gap lie. Why is that gap still not fixed by the existing players? Is this because the gap really exists, or is it that the gap is just a flimsy thing which does not really exist, and there is probably no need for a new player to enter the market? And trying to understand the customer behavior. Sometimes what happens is that till the time the product is free, you may have a very big market, but once you start charging a price for it, your customer base of interested potential customers falls. So you need to be very careful in your market research. When we talk about consumer behavior, there are a lot of attributes that we need to study. We go on to demographics. What is the age that we are targeting? Is the product or service gender specific? What is the income group that we are catering to? Try to recall my example of Kama Ayurved versus Patanjali products versus Dabur probably. What is there a particular occupation of the people that we are targeting in our product segment, market segment, and what is their education level? When I talk about education level, it is very important in the sense that taking the example of marketing, if our education, if the education level of our target market is probably under not even class 12th pass, and we are pitching in highly sophisticated or intricate facts about a product, probably they'll not even perceive it, they'll not even understand it, and that will go of no use. What are the psychographics? What is the lifestyle? What is the values that that target segment has? What is their interest? If we are targeting a very low segment, highly price conscious market, and we are trying to pitch them a very sophisticated, high value product of shoes, you might not gain much success because they're not really bothered about what comfort or what type of sole does the shoe have. They're more bothered about how it looks and how economical it is. The behavioral patterns, what are their buying habits? Are they brand loyal? What is their frequency of product use? It is very difficult to easily switch someone if the person is brand loyal or if the habit is such that you don't really look into alternatives. I don't know how many of you would have really changed the toothpaste that you're using in your household from past so many years. The major change that came into play was through Patanjali's Dant Kanti, that it is an Ayurvedic product, and looking at the emphasis of Ayurveda, the various other brands in the FMCG sector, such as Dabur, such as Colgate, started introducing products such as Ved Shakti and Miswak, because there was a change in the buying habits of the customer, migrating from fancy looking transparent toothpaste having crystals to some alternative that is more healthy, more beneficial from health point of view, from medicinal point of view for their teeth. So you need to understand, is there a change in the behavioral pattern? Are you aiming to bring about a change in the behavior? Are you following the evolving buying habits of the customers? And then lastly, what are the pain points that your customer is actually facing? Are you bridging that gap? This is something that we've repeated again and again. Are you bridging that gap? So besides understanding your target market, your consumers' behavior, then it also comes down to understanding what are your competitors, what is the market gap, why are your competitors not fixing that gap already? So if I ask you who is the competitor of Zomato, you immediately say Swiggy, but that is a direct competitor. If we talk about indirect competitors for Zomato or Swiggy, it is those restaurants that do not have a delivery fleet, those roadside stalls that are providing food to the same customer. Because the customer, instead of ordering from Swiggy or Zomato, he'll directly go over there. And something that is also an indirect competitor of Zomato or Swiggy is your household kitchen. And you can see the flavor of this in their advertisement campaigns. Zomato very stylishly markets itself. Are you tired of cooking? Today is Sunday. Give your kitchen a break. Let us do it for you, because they are targeting that indirect customer. They don't want you to cook, because if you cook, then you're not going to place an order. So understanding your direct as well as your indirect competitors is very, very important. Then identifying the gap. Why is your customer not satisfied, or who is that underserved customer? So till now, before Zomato or Swiggy, all those restaurants either had their own delivery fleet or relied solely on walk-in customers. They never realized the need of having a delivery fleet or selling food to people who are not even coming to their restaurant. Lastly, benchmarking. What are the product attributes? What are the types of services? What are the add-on benefits that your competitors are offering to your target market? What is the pricing? What is the level of after-sales service? What is the brand positioning that you for the market that you are aiming at in comparison to your competitors? So you need to have a very crystal clear idea. I'm going to repeat all these 3 points of your direct competitors as well as your indirect competitors. You need to have a very clear idea of the gap that is there for the existing market, or probably you're catering to you have discovered a new market altogether. Is there a customer underserved, or is there a new market that you have created out of your unique value product? And lastly, benchmarking, comparing your product services to your competitors' products and services, the pricing, the level of quality, the product attributes, the after sale service, everything in comparison to your competitors. So a few factors that play an important role in this are psychological factors. What is the motivation for your customer to enter into a purchase? What is the perception or learning or belief, or what is their attitude when they are making this purchase? For example, if you're selling a medical product per se, I think the recommendation of a doctor will far supersede any advertisement that you may have. Then there are social factors, the influence of family members, influence of friends. And that is why we see that so many social media influencers are making their place, because that social media endorsements by friends, endorsements by family plays a very, very big role in converting sales. Then there are cultural factors, values, norms, expectations shaped by our cultural background. If there's a cultural belief that probably black color for something is not good, no matter how good the product is, you may not have a sales because there's a cultural belief against it, and the customer may not go against his or her cultural belief. It's very important to understand what is that trigger which leads from a potential customer to a customer. What is that trigger that brings about a change in realizing a transaction? It often happens we go on Myntra, but we're not making a purchase. We are just scrolling through. We go on Amazon and we are just scrolling through. We see a lot of products on Instagram, but we are not making a purchase. We're just going, we're scrolling through images, but not making a purchase. What is that factor that makes a purchase, and what is that factor that inhibits a purchase, that stops a person from making a purchase? Is it the brand? Is it the goodwill? Is it the factor that convinces? Is it because there is a trust issue between the sales and the delivery? This is something we need to look at. So this is, and I'm sure most of you would recognize this campaign by Surf Excel. This advertisement goes in most of my presentations. A very well marketing campaign, a very well created marketing campaign by Surf Excel. Absolutely phenomenal brains behind it. Surf Excel is a product that helps wash clothes. more than 90% of the customers making this purchase are females. Now, as a mother, someone will be very irritated and agitated by dirty linen, dirty clothes by their kids. That is the pain point that they have identified. But in a very fashionable, in a very smart manner, in their marketing move, they have built the narrative all together around it. So what they have done over here is every mother loves their kids. She knows she would love that her children play together. So what they have done is they've shown the love between a brother and a sister. The brother is trying to protect her sister, evoking sentimental values in the customer, that is their mother. And now they pitch in their product that, you know, daag अच्छे हैं for if it creates love between the siblings, we'll take care of the rest. So this is such a well thought campaign. And I think this is how well we should be aware about who our customer is, what is their pain point, what is the things they love and what is the things they hate. And if we can sew them all together, I think we have a winning product and we have a winning branding and marketing campaign as well. With this, I think I would conclude today's session and I would be very happy to answer a few questions if you have about any of the sections about maybe branding, maybe product segment, market research. We can discuss about execution and scalability. We can discuss about leadership and team skills. We have discussed today about having a customer-centric approach. We have discussed about having a very strong UVP, unique value proposition. We have discussed about having a very strong business model and strategy. And of course, our very first point, having a very, very strong ideation phase. I'm happy to take up questions if you may have. You can just type in the chat box and the questions will come and I'll take them one by one.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Tushar sir, for such an enlightening and knowledgeable session. So now we have a couple of questions from the members, which I would like to convey to you. Okay. So the very first question is, how can a startup maintain work-life balance for its founders and its employees?
Oh, okay. So I think these days we have a lot of debate going on whether we should have a 90-hour work week or a 50-hour work week. And I think this also relates to maintaining a work-life balance. In my personal opinion, I think this is a very, very subjective matter. There is no right answer to it. What may be right for me may be very wrong for you or may not work for you. So every may it be founder, may it be a professional, may it be a team member, every person is in a very different stage of life. A person may be completely focused on his or her business goal, a professional goal, and may want to work 90 hours and achieve that level of satisfaction through business success. But on the other hand, a team member may want to work only 50 hours because with the rest of the time, he or she may want to give that time to their family or to their hobby or to traveling or to do whatever to have that level of satisfaction. So having a balance is basically having that satisfaction, and you may gain satisfaction out of work, you may gain that satisfaction by pursuing a hobby, or you may gain that satisfaction by spending time with your family. So there's no right answer to it. It really depends on what type of team members you have and what is their level of expectation. One may not want to work more and gain more money. One may say that give me just this much of money and I'm happy to work this much. I don't want more money. I want more time to pursue my leisure or my hobbies. So that really depends on what type of team members you have and are you really aligned to it? Are you able to make HR policies which help different people achieve their personal goals
Yeah,
along
thank
with their professional goals. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you so much, sir, for answering this question. So the next question we have is, what are the most common mistakes businesses make when identifying their target audience?
What are the most common mistakes people make while identifying their target
Target
audience?
audience, yeah.
I think the biggest mistake is to have a very, very big target audience. So you may think that your product is good for all, and it might be true as well that your product may be good for all, but the funds are limited, the time is limited, the budget is limited, your marketing efforts are limited, your production capacity is limited, your team is limited. So as an early stage startup, you need to be very, very focused on whom do you want to start with. And what happens is we need to really evaluate which is our most premium segment, most that segment of market that is going to give us the highest return in terms of value. So it might be, there might be a possibility that if I'm making shoes, I can make shoes for kids, I can make shoes for adults, I can make shoes for sports, I can make shoes for elderly, orthopedic shoes. But what are my core skills? Where is the gap? And am I really fixing that gap? Is the gap for kids shoes, or is the gap there for sports shoes, or is it for the elderly orthopedic shoes? And how do my skills complement in building this business? That is something we really need to focus upon. If I start, if from the day when I try to do it all, I may not be able to achieve that level of excellence because of my limited capacity, limited experience in running the business, and someone might take over.
Your suggestion is that one should focus on a niche market.
One should focus on core competency and identify the target market based upon their market research and their capability. You should focus on a very small niche segment. Of course, you can multiply later on. Of course, you would have a short-term and a long-term strategy to cater to a larger market, but your focus initially should be very, very niche, very targeted. You should have very clearly defined demographics. You should know that this is the age, this is the audience, this is the area where I will be selling my product or service, and this is the, even if gender is applicable, this is the gender that I will be catering to.
So the next question, sir, for you is, what role does a unique value proposition play in the success of a startup?
I think it plays the most important quintessential role, because unless and until you know what are you doing, why are you doing it, how are you different from others, you're not making a change, you're not bringing about a difference. If you're just like everybody else, why should I give you my money? Why should I not invest in other businesses? The simple question which VCs ask, how are you different from all others? Why should I give you my money? How are you going to exponentially give me exponential returns instead of others? So a UVP brings about that change in a well-defined manner. This is what I'm doing. These are the people for whom I'm doing, and this is how I am doing it better than others. How I will be doing it better than others.
Okay, so the fourth question is, how can a startup build a strong brand identity from the beginning?
A strong brand identity from the beginning. I think, in my opinion, most of the businesses that are doing exceptionally well these days are doing it because of the quality that they're offering. These days, customers really, really give a good amount of preference to quality products. And if you do not meet their expectations of quality, you're not going to have any word of mouth, you're going to have a damaging review, and you're not going to have any repeat sales. I'll take the example of Neiman's. They're providing shoes, they're into shoe business, doing exceptionally well. Although everybody thought that this space is difficult to get into, the space is saturated, but they're doing exceptionally well because of the quality of shoes that they're offering. And same goes for a lot of products. A lot of products that you may be able to see on online shopping applications. They're doing well because of the quality, because of the after sales service, because of the customer feedback, which they really focus upon. So you need to make sure that your customers are really happy with your product or service. That is one step towards building a brand. You may not have a very good operating margin, you may not have a very good EBITDA, or you may not have a very good profit in the initial stages, but that's okay. You can have money later. Money is important, money is exceptionally important, but if you're investing to bring if you're investing that money to build a brand, money will come very easily.
What are the most common mistakes new entrepreneurs should avoid while starting a business?
Most common mistakes, I think this was there in one of our slides, that first of all, be very careful in the team that you choose. Your team should be very well aligned with your vision, with your goals, with your leadership. If the members of a team start working on the same thing, that you have too many cooks who will spoil the soup. If you have team members working in contradiction with each other, business will fail even before starting. Secondly, if you're ignoring the customer feedback, if you're not looking into what the customer really wants, you may be selling apples, really, really amazing apples, the best quality of apples. But if the customer wants oranges, your apples are no good. It does not really matter how good, how red, how nutritious those apples are. If the customer wants oranges, it's not going to work. Thirdly, you should be very clear about the cost, the revenue, your profit. Where exactly is that point where you will break even? How are you going to money in the long run, at least? Even if you're not making money in the short run, it's very important to make sure that you're making money in the long run. Fourthly, I'm just wondering, these are the points that we have already discussed. Having a very, very detailed ideation process and market research. Do not just jump in because you have an idea and you have the capital to do it. That's not gonna work. Try to understand what is already out there in the market. Try to understand how are your competitors doing. Try to understand, is this business, is this idea really, really good? Try to play the devil's advocate. Why not this? Why not that? Try to have different ideas to achieve the solution for the problem in hand.
Thank you so much, sir, for answering this question. So first of all, we should understand the customer needs, and accordingly, we should align up our team, correct?
Right.
Yeah. So next question is, how do you choose the right co-founder for your startup?
That's a very interesting question. So, I think the right way to choose a co-founder is to understand, first of all, the skill set that you require for your business. For example, you require 5 skills, A, B, C, D, and E. For me, if it's a fintech application, you may require a person from finance, and you may require a person from technology, and you may require a person from marketing or branding. So I'm just taking a very broad example. So you have identified these 3 skills are something that we require. You should be choosing your co-founders based on those skills. If I have 3 people from technology, I will be having an excellent tech team, but there would be no one from the finance side, and I will be facing a lot of challenges hiring those people and then trying to align them with my vision. So firstly, the first criteria is to have a very diverse skill set in the co-founders. Secondly, they should all be very well synchronized and aligned with each other. If you're having different long-term goals, if you're having different short-term goals for your business, I think you would have a lot of contradiction in the decision-making process, and that cannot go well. One must understand that there can be only one person driving the car. If there are 4 drivers, you will all be struggling for the steering wheel. So you should all be in sync. You should have a diverse skill set, and you should all be on the same page.
Thank you so much, sir. So next question is, how can a startup effectively manage its finances in the early stages?
How can a startup manage finances? I think you should be very clear on the cost structure and how much are you willing to spend for per customer acquisition cost. There's a matrix which allows you to calculate that how much money are you spending for acquiring one customer. And then if you're, for example, you're spending 10 rupees to acquire that one customer, is it going to be a repeat customer? Are you, after acquiring that one customer, will you be able to reap that much of benefit from that one customer? That is something that you need to control, your per customer acquisition cost. Secondly, you should really refrain yourself from very heavy marketing activities or having a very broad setup. Take one step at a time. Take small steps. You don't really need to purchase an office on the first day. Try to work cost effectively from your own, from a rented space or from a small space. Try to acquire services. You can outsource finance, you can outsource HR, you can outsource non-core activities to make sure that your cost is limited. You may have everything in-house, but at a later stage. And that this can be linked even with the target audience. Try to target a very niche audience. Try to have a prototype, try to have an MVP, test your product, have some initial sales. This limits your cost, this limits your expenditure. First, try to validate your idea. Once you're successful, then slowly start expanding. So this limits your capital expenditure. This limits your repetitive expenditure. Go small initially.
Yeah. So, how can a startup create a loyal customer base in the competitive market?
Well, in quality. Quality, quality, and quality. I think quality speaks for itself. If you have that wow factor, if your product or your service creates that factor of amazement in the eyes of the customer, he will go again and again for you. If you order some service from urban company and the person, the plumber or the spa or whatever, that person comes and you're not happy with it and the urban company does not do anything about it, they are going to lose you as a customer forever. If you order something from Myntra, the product is torn and they're doing nothing about it, they're not returning you the money, they're not listening to you, they're going to lose a customer forever. Even if that brand was someone else's, it's Myntra that you made that purchase from. So you need to be very, very careful about quality. And if there is any instance where quality benchmark is not met, your customer support team should be very responsive to that customer to make sure that you're not losing out. Acquiring a customer has a very high cost. You market your product to 100 people, 10 might open that advertisement, only one might get into sales. And this is a very optimistic scenario. If you send out emails, if you send out SMSs, if you go into an Instagram campaign, for more than 10,000 impressions, you may have only one single sales transaction. But even if after that sales transaction, the customer does not have that wow experience, it's going to have a very damaging effect on your goodwill and it will lower down have a loyal customer base.
Correct. But sir, like in a country like India where customers are very price sensitive, so what is your point of view in that case?
See, you have to be sure of the market that you're catering to. If you're catering to a market that is super price sensitive, of course the quality will go down somewhere.
Correct.
But that is with the same as your competitors. Your competitors cannot be delivering a 15 rupee product for rupees 10. There may be economies of scale. There may be big companies who are able to procure raw material or make products at a cheaper price. But at the same time, you need to be sure whether the target market is price sensitive or quality sensitive. And what is that bridge of quality and price that you need to fix, that you need to stay at. So of course, in a price sensitive market such as India, even if you look at Swiggy and Zomato, if you look at Myntra, if you look at competing Ajio, they're all competing for prices. But though none of them, you'll never find any of them compromising with the quality. And then it also depends, are you catering into tier 1 market, tier 2 cities, tier 3 cities? What type of market segment are you addressing?
So how important is networking for the success of startup?
I think networking is very important. I think networking is important as any other thing. You require resources to run a business. You require contacts. You require different experiences. You require a very detailed network. And for that, I think it's important to have people by your side. There's no harm in sending out cold emails asking for help. There's no harm in sending a hello to someone you think can really help you in your business. And people do help. I've seen people really help. If you're serious in your approach, people come out and help.
In order to have people around, so we need the networking thing.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Next question is, how can a startup quickly adapt to changing market conditions and consumer behavior?
I think the answer to this question would be same for any startup or any business. You need to be very responsive to your customer feedback. If the customer, I'll take the example of a restaurant business. If the customer is, most of the customers are saying that your food is spicy, you need to quickly lower down your spice levels. As simple as that. If your customer feels that the product is too fragile, you need to change its quality or attribute. If the customer feels that the mobile screen is breaking too quickly, you need to provide a replacement and make sure that the next shift of products is more sturdy. So the customer feedback tells you need to be, I mean, there's a reason why whenever we make a purchase, whenever we order something, quickly we see that screen, please rate us. These
Correct.
days, no matter what we purchase, if we are purchasing something online, they'll ask you, how was your purchasing experience? After sales, they'll send you an email or you'll have a mobile notification. Are you satisfied with the product? If we are ordering something from Swiggy, the delivery guy would say, sir, please rating de dena, please give me a feedback. The reason is that the companies want to be very well aligned with the customer expectations. They want that if the customer by any chance had a bad experience, let us ask first rather than the customer going on a social platform and damaging our reputation. Let us first ask him, are you happy? Are you okay? Did we do good? So that is the only way. Be attached with the customer. Be open to review. Be open to feedback.
Thank you, sir. So the next question is, for a product startup, how to take care of a product redundancy even before the market entry?
You need to be very quick. You need to be very agile. From the question, what I understand is that you're making a product and by the time you launch, the product is already outdated or obsolete. Is that right? This is what you want to ask?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think this is why you need to have a very careful market research. You need to have a very clearly defined short-term and long-term goal. So if you think that there is a need in the market and you're taking way too long to make it, then probably your market research was not good enough, or probably your timelines, your milestones were not properly aligned. So market research plays it all. I think for some of the products, do you remember there used to be this device, I'm forgetting the name. There were two skates, electronic skates, and if you step on them, they'll move automatically. So the idea was amazing, the technology was amazing, but the real need of that product was not there and the company died. If you talk about Kodak, one of the market leaders in photography, is now no more existent. Why? Because they were not able to adapt to the changing needs of the market. People quickly shifted from physical reels to digital media, from cameras to mobile phones. But they were not that quick enough to change themselves. So you need to be sure that you're constantly doing your market research, you're constantly adapting, and those timelines are short enough for you to act.
Thank you, sir. Next question is, how to overcome the financial struggles while starting up a business?
I think the answer to this question is almost similar to the question we just did a couple of minutes back. Keep your
Yeah.
cost low,
Cost low.
go
Yeah.
slow, go to a very targeted niche market. Do not go all in. Once you start having revenue, that revenue will refinance your next steps.
Correct. So the next question is how to do branding for a chartered accountancy firm without violating advertising norms of professional ethics.
I think your work would speak for itself. If your customers are really satisfied, if your clients are really happy with your services, be on time, be very professional, be all ears to their needs. I think that helps in gaining repeat customers as well as new customers through word of mouth. I've had experiences where I got one customers and then they wanted me to do it for their family members, and then they wanted me to do for their family business, and then they wanted me to do for their relative family businesses. It really customer feedback, good quality services speaks for themselves.
Okay. So the last question, sir, for
Yeah,
you.
sure.
Yeah. Other than venture capital source, what are the other cost-effective sources for working capital finance for a startup?
I think the first and primary source is your own funds. There's a very delicate mix of how much are the founders ready to put in. Then the second source is, of course, debt. How much are the founders ready to take personal debt to finance their business needs? And then comes into picture the venture capitalist. I think when you're asking for money from a venture capitalist, you are assuring that venture capitalist that I will be able to get 10x return or 20x return on this money, because this is something we discussed on the very first slide, that startup is not like a regular business. It is with high level of uncertainty, high level of risk, and of course there's a high level of success as well. There can be exponential returns. So if a venture capitalist is investing in your business, he should be really convinced that this business will function. Now the business is not functioning right now. So where is he putting this money? He's putting this money in you. He's putting this money in your skills, in your team. Everybody can have an idea, but not everybody can execute it similarly. So he's giving this money to you. And if you yourself are not convinced about this business, if you yourself do not have any skin in the game, if you yourself are not putting your own funds or ready to take debt, then how will he be satisfied with your business proposal? So your own funds are, of course, first option. Then there's debt funding, and then the VCs are there to help you launch.
That's all from the question answer round. So thank you so much, sir, for joining us today and resolving the queries of the members. With this, we can wind up our session now. Thank you so much, sir, again for
It was a
joining the
pleasure,
session.
Drishti. Thank you,
Yeah.
Drishti. Thank you, Ravi. Thank you. All right.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for wonderful session.
Those
Thank
who
you,
want to
ma'am.
reach out to me, they can of course connect with me on LinkedIn. If they have any follow-up questions, or if they want anything, any guidance, or anything they want from where I can help, I would be happy to help. They can connect with me on LinkedIn. All right. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Sir,
Thank
could
you.
you please tell us your LinkedIn profile or
Yes,
something? So
they can
it
find
will
me
be
by Dr. Tushar Arya. It's LinkedIn.in. All right. Just let me check. Just a second. Yeah, so it's linkedin.com/in/Arya Tushar. So linkedin.com/in/Arya Tushar.
okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you for wonderful session. Thank you,
All right,
ma'am,
thank you so
for
much.
coordinating.
Goodbye.
Okay. Thank you, tech support.